answer that question?
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Oh. Whew. So what's it gonna be? The Helix or the Fractal? Let's talk about it then. Alright guys, so welcome along to another video. The reason that I'm doing this is a couple of questions that I got asked about why I stopped using the Helix. I mean, I didn't stop using the Helix as such. Bit of fluff off the carpet. I didn't stop using the Helix. It's always been in the studio and it always gets used. The Fractal I've had for a while. You know, this has kind of been around for a few months. I just never really got around to kind of plugging it in and you know, doing the thing with it. So questions that I was asked: is the Fractal better than the Helix, and is the Helix inferior to the Fractal? Because unfortunately out there's a lot of snobbery, a lot of cork sniffing. One is better than the other. And let's not forget as well the science experts that live on YouTube, the ones that talk about the upper mids cut through and it feels so much better, like a real tube amp. Like it's been discussed a million times before, you know, opinions vary, and the feel of this and the feel of that, it's subjective. I did do a video not so long back about changing the feel of the Helix by altering the impedance slightly, because this Fractal runs at 1 megaohm and the Helix does it automatically, so you have to physically set the Helix to the 1 megaohm if you want the same kind of feel. So let's just take a quick overview of why we're in this position. So as humans, we like choice. We like to be able to choose different things. So whether you're a fan of Apple or Android, because the user interface is better for you on one or the other, that's down to choice. It's whether you like Pepsi or Coke or strawberry or chocolate milkshake. Personally, it's always strawberry. It's always strawberry, it can't be anything else. Petrol or diesel cars, it depends which supermarket that you want to go in, depending on where you live. If you live in America, then, you know, Walmart and CVS, or in England, it's going to be Asda and Tesco. You know, it's just one of them things, and we have choice. Star Wars or Star Trek, McDonald's or Burger King, Costa or Starbucks, Windows or Mac, it's all down to choice. And that's what this is. It's all down to choice. When it comes down to it, these units have both got really strong things that the other one doesn't do. Okay, so the ability of snapshots for Helix far outweighs the Fractal in every way. That smooth, seamless changing of effects and switching amps and doing absolutely everything that you want to do just on one switch with the snapshots is truly amazing. When you talk about game-changing and ground-breaking ideas, then that was it for me. When snapshots came, it was outrageous. It was so good. The Fractal has got a couple of amps in there that are really, really good, and the Helix is a little bit behind, especially in the amp library. That doesn't mean to say that there aren't great amps in there. There are. It's amazing. But there just isn't as many as there is in the Fractal. So obviously with the Fractal, the ones I tend to go for will be the Atomica High. There's a couple of different versions of Friedman amps in there. There's the Silver Jubilee and the Caroline. You don't get that in the Helix. You just get one version of the Friedman. And that's not really a bad thing, because they can both be dialed in to kind of sound the same. So let's talk about user interface. Okay? The user interface on the Fractal is fucking ridiculously stupid. It's behind the time. It doesn't make any sense. It's too complicated. And you realistically need a degree in nanoscience and landing a lunar module on a planet somewhere far away just to edit the menu. You can't do anything on the fly. Now, some people will say, well, what you should be doing is you should be learning how to use it on the interface at the front and not having to plug it in. That's not the point. This is where the HELIX wins. You can pretty much do everything on the HELIX just with your foot. They have a thing on this called the foot edit mode. So if you're at a gig and your delay sounds a little bit wonky, or you just don't like the sound of the reverb, and you want to turn it down a little bit, you push one button, hold it down, all of your things will come up in front of you, and you can turn parameters of each of your effects up or down. You can't do that on this. You just can't do it. It's a pain in the ass. Now, there's no denying that the Fractal does sound great out of the box, but Line 6 also say themselves in their actual manuals and most of these public statements that they released around firmware update time that all presets suck. And in the HELIX, bar from a couple, they pretty much do. Can't get away from that. The Fractal, on the other hand, it excels. It excels at factory presets. It does. It's amazing at factory presets. HELIX, definitely not. But then why should it? It's not. It's about you tweaking it, isn't it? Surely, isn't that what we want to do? You just have to decide what's right for you. For me, it's always going to be the HELIX. I'm not saying that the Fractal is a bad unit. It's a great unit if that's what your user interface requires. But for me, it doesn't. It has amazing amps, amazing effects. It sounds great out of the box. But that's all it does. That's all it does. HELIX just does everything else, and it does it far better than the Fractal. So in summary, yes, the Fractal's good. It sounds great out of the box. If you're a simple, I just want a couple of scenes, a crunch, a lead, a clean, I'm good to go, that's okay. You can get the same thing out of the HELIX as well, you know, and if you think that the HELIX is a little bit too much, then buy a HX Stomp or a Pod Go. Just as good, same brains, same engine. What is there not to love? I'm still going to be using the HELIX, and I'm still going to be using the Fractal, because there are days when I want a particularly different amp that doesn't exist in the HELIX. And that's why this still stays. That's why it still lives here, because there are things inside of here that aren't inside of here. Okay, that makes sense. And there are things that this does far, far better than this, which is why this still stays. All right, as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the ding dong dingly bell and subscribe and comment below and let me know, what unit do you have? Do you have HELIX? Do you have the Fractal? Do you prefer the Fractal? Do you prefer the HELIX? Have you got HX Stomp? Or are you in a lucky position like me and you've got all of them? All right, I'll see you on the next one.